Okay, we can use this. Morning, morning. How are you? Okay.
You're gonna use this one?
No, I told him I must bring a laptop. Where's a laptop?
Oh, it's bringing a laptop. Okay, it's gonna put it here.
Yeah.
Okay. But can I use my laptop here if you have nothing to do with that, without taking it here?
Yeah, you can do that.
It's gonna come nicely. Because my one, my speech is gonna. I don't need. I will use my one.
All right, sure, sure.
But for the other speakers, they will have to use that one.
Yeah, for the other speakers, yeah, we're using presentations. Okay, give me a laptop. Let me test your laptop.
Presentation, I don't. Presentation
How many presentations?
just one.
Oh, just one. Where's the other presentations?
The speakers are
Not here. Okay. We load all. We just create a folder. Three.
Well, there are two speakers. I should for now.
Oh,
Two speakers outside. Oh, I'll go over here.
yeah. We'll find them and tell them. I got one here. Oh, where is she? Okay. Let's see if all the other speakers are here too.
Yeah, here, just see. Lindy is also here.
Morning, Prof. Anil. Prof. Anil. Morning, sir. You're saying I'm black, you can't see me. You see you. So you're in charge. Yeah, I see her. Oh, I got a meeting at like, oh God, lucky.
Yeah.
Told me.
Shit.
And it's
Type C. No,
Oh,
this
that's
side. It's
Yeah, I know you facilitate. It's okay. You come initiative because I just took whatever you guys had and I'm going to reiterate it because I kind of write my own notes for the idea. And really, when you look at this, you really just open mind and some of things get no, it's fine.
yeah. So it was because I'm going to open it.
Okay, I think I'll have to sit somewhere.
See, this for me is not what I'm going to introduce this thing and I have to say, when I listen to other
Robin, this is the right place. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're just waiting for
there
presentations now.
Yeah.
So we'll just load it. I will create a folder on a desktop here, and then we'll just call it library, whatever. What's the name of this?
SALW.
Sorry?
SALW.
SALW. That's so you know it's here.
Camera 2 on comms.
Left or right? Up or down? Right. Oh, we did. Making those people feel lonely. Why you never go more in the corner then? Ruben, you know you can't put a light directly there, right? Yeah. I mean, it has to be there by you. Yeah, because if we do it there, then it's gonna. Let me join this meeting.
Yeah, out too. So, oh, yeah, that's me. But usezokubuka ukuthi eyi lo muntu useva kanjani izinto yonke into ihleli yonke into hayi
You need some kind of a training.
hayi lutho thina siyilabantu abangajajani because
Are you sure?
hayi very sure
Ngoba bese ninodwa labangani beni aba-intelligent.
hayi lutho lutho
Ngamlungisa ukufaka maybe sengiyaphila i-drive ethi just stop now more than 7 minutes ngizofaka la ngoba iyangena bese iyabaleka yona ifike manje uyibone just stop now
i-PowerPoint
la PowerPoint bese ikhona ethi just stop now nice yeah stop noma sengilimazile kwayona sengibhala ngiyodwa stop now
I was thinking so eyakho awusonelisa lokho kunye eyi angazi bekuyinto efixile lined up. Airports is good for them. Ngaramboni. Oh, okay. Except for Dr. Nonhlanhla and oh, the sister. Oh, now.
Whoever comes in each time, you've got one again. Yeah. I didn't print that one, but at least each one was how much.
Yeah, it was enough.
Got a slide, opening slide.
Can I
Or slide pack. What's this?
just to have it?
What it can, no, can I close
I wanted, Tintin, is it possible to have subject library week?
the thing?
Yeah.
I can.
So that while if we are not using it, but something shows there.
Do we have the banner on there? The poster. Do we have the poster on there?
No, let me send it to you.
Yeah, send it to. Send it to you. Okay, yeah.
So that I want it when I'm using this, not using the PowerPoint.
Okay, sure.
So the last, the main speaker, the last one is going to be using the
Their own laptop.
Yeah,
That's fine.
so
But do they have the adapter?
yes, they do.
But now yesterday there was a Mac. It wasn't working. Yeah,
So we
sometimes
need
I need to test
test
it before quickly. Oh, extend, yeah. There's a Meta. You can use Meta. Choose Meta. So extended is. When you open your slides, it will come. Thank you. Yeah, you just plug and unplug. Anyway, I got your cover, the bottle and captain. Okay, you say the slide with the slide. Send the slide to me. What is it? I'm bringing it now.
Okay. Where is it now? This one. Okay, we can just copy it. Let's
Or try
copy
this
it.
one.
Yeah. It's that one. So there's a folder here. That one there.
You take your stick away.
Okay.
all
Eject it first, otherwise we corrupt it. Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
Testing, testing. Good morning, colleagues, honored guests, and distinguished speakers and friends. My name is Mr. Nkululeko Makwaza, and it is an honor to facilitate this South African Library Week seminar, a collaboration between the International Federation of Library Association and Institution, IFLA IT section, and the University of KwaZulu-Natal, UKZN Library Services. This seminar forms part of South African Library Week 2025, celebrated under the broader theme, Libraries for Sustainable Communities. At UKZN Library Services, we are embracing this occasion under the theme, Technology in Libraries and Quality Education, highlighting how digital transformation is reshaping libraries as hubs of knowledge, innovation, and lifelong learning. Before we proceed, please take note of the few housekeeping reminders. Kindly ensure that your mobile devices are set on silence mode. For in-person attendees, restrooms are located on my right as you exit the venue for gentlemen, and also on my left for ladies. We are going to have a tea break at 10:30 and another lunch break at 12:40. Visual attendees, please enjoy the seminar with us. These events align with IFLA President Vicky McDonald's presidential theme, Stronger Together, emphasizing collaboration, inclusivity, and technological innovation in shaping the future of libraries. The IFLA Information Technology IT section and its Artificial Intelligence Special Interest Group and Big Data Special Interest Group are at the forefront of integrating artificial intelligence, data analytics, and digital solution in library services. These efforts directly talk to Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is quality education, by advancing digital literacy and equitable access to knowledge. These efforts by IFLA IT section also directly support SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, by strengthening libraries as inclusive, technology-driven spaces. UKZN Library Services is committed to technological transformation and data-driven solution, ensuring that libraries remain the key players in education, research, and community development. It is now my honor to welcome Professor Anil Chatakun, DVC for Research and Innovation at UKZN, to do a welcome address. Prof, the podium is yours.
Good morning to all, and welcome to the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you, Mr. Magwaza, for the introduction. It is both a privilege and an honor for me today to welcome you to the University of KwaZulu-Natal on a subject of profound significance, and that is the celebration of the South African Library Week. I extend a special greeting and welcome to our distinguished guest speakers. South African Library Week is an annual celebration that highlights the importance of libraries in fostering knowledge, promoting literacy, preserving cultural heritage, and promoting social cohesion. And of course, as you've just heard, that the theme for the 2025 South African Library Week is Libraries for Sustainable Communities. So what happens during this week? There are various activities that are planned, and normally these include that the libraries will organize programs to mark the week, and at UKZN, this important occasion is marked with a seminar program with an international guest, Mrs. May Chang, to give a keynote address on technologies in libraries and quality of education, and two other guest speakers, Ms. Intabiseng Kotsokoane and Ms. Lindy Inslapo. Welcome, ma'am, to our university. Just to reiterate some of the very critical and important things that are related to libraries, which we take for granted, of course. And these are that we forget that libraries are there to unite communities. Now, if you look at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, we have a diverse student population. And when you walk into a library, you'll find that there's a lot of social cohesion that's going on in there, and the dynamics in terms of learning are much more pronounced. They promote access to information, technology, and resources. They broaden the horizons and connect individuals. They foster a shared sense of purpose and identity. They provide safe spaces for generally marginalized communities. Now, I'm sure you've celebrated this many times, and you know that the history of this originated in 1818, which was the creation of the first public library, the South African Public Library, which was created down in the south in the Cape. And this happened in March, of course, and that's why we celebrate this event during the period of 17th to the 23rd of March. So looking at the theme for sustainable communities, and what we realize that we need to look at the transformative role that libraries play in fostering sustainability, resilience, and inclusivity. And of course, most importantly, how accessible are these to the communities? And this theme is aligned with South Africa's commitment to, as Mr. Magwaza alluded to, two sustainable developmental goals, that is Goal 11, which is sustainable cities and communities, and Goal 4, and very important at our university, which is related to quality education. So libraries provide inclusive spaces and access to resources for all members of society, empowering communities through education, social support, and opportunities for lifelong learning. And I would say that libraries are the most inclusive institutions that serve everyone, regardless of how old you are, your gender, social economic standing, or your background, by offering free or low-cost access to diverse resources and services. And as you can see from the theme today, it's mainly related to a digital world. So of course, many people have no access to any digital facilities, and the library is the place where you can go and access these resources. So by providing accessible spaces for individuals, especially with disabilities, language challenges, and historically excluded populations, libraries ensure a welcoming environment and essential tools for personal and collective growth. So by bridging these gaps, diverse groups and encouraging social interaction, libraries tend to foster mutual understanding, cultural awareness, and respect among community members. This inclusivity, excuse me, this inclusivity strengthens the social bonds which are vital to the development of sustainable and resilient communities. Now, how do we look at libraries in terms of lifelong learning and quality education? So, as I mentioned to you, that sustainable goal 4 is related to quality education. And you find that the libraries are vital in promoting literacy, learning, and skills development across all stages of life. They provide resources for students, families, and adults seeking education beyond formal settings. By offering access to books, digital resources, and study spaces, libraries support traditional education while also providing a foundation for lifelong learning. This is particularly valuable in under-resourced areas where libraries often serve as a primary center for free education and access to technology. Excuse me. We had a long workshop last week and there was a lot of talking. And generally I like to talk a lot, so that's the problem with my throat. Libraries also host literacy programs, early childhood education sessions, and adult education workshops. And these address the diverse needs of their communities. And through these efforts, they empower people to improve their own lives and contribute in a manner that is meaningful and impactful to their communities. So for many libraries, they provide the only access to the information and digital resources, as was mentioned earlier on, that are needed to pursue personal and professional growth, which is essential to building a knowledgeable and skilled population. So I'm going to briefly talk about the digital inclusion before I conclude my talk. In an increasingly digital society, libraries are critical in bridging the digital divide by providing technology, internet access, and digital literacy training. For individuals who lack access to digital tools at home, libraries are essential in ensuring that they can connect the digital world, from conducting job searches and applying for services to participating in digital learning. By offering free access to digital resources, libraries enable everyone to benefit from technological advancements regardless of their socio-economic background. The commitment to digital inclusion supports the Sustainable Goal 11 by making urban and rural communities more inclusive and resilient. By providing digital skills training, libraries prepare community members for participation in the digital economy that contributes to local and national economic sustainability. So how do you champion some of the issues that are related to our communities, especially in terms of and environmental awareness and community engagement. Again, here libraries are very critical in that they play a valuable role in promoting these awareness through sustainable practices within their communities. Through various programs, workshops, and information resources focused on sustainability, libraries educate individuals about climate change, recycling, and sustainable living practices. This knowledge empowers communities to make informed decisions that contribute to a healthier environment and a more sustainable future. The theme underscores the vital role libraries play in fostering inclusivity, access to quality education, digital literacy, environmental stewardship, and community resilience. And finally, I wish to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Nhlanhla Ngcobo and her wonderful team for organizing this seminar and their sterling efforts in promoting South African Library Week and lifelong learning. Let us continue to forge ahead with determination and unity, knowing that the work we do today will leave an enduring legacy for generations to come. Thank you very much. You can see I'm not of the digital age because I'm still using paper to come and do my talk, so excuse me. And I'm sure the color of my hair will tell you that definitely I'm not one of the modern tech-savvy people. So, Mr. Magwaza, congratulations on your computer use.
Thank you very much, Prof, for your insightful and inspiring words. What I have taken in your talk is the importance of digital literacy, digital inclusion, and the important role libraries can play. It is now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Nhlanhla Ngcobo, University of KwaZulu-Natal Library Services Director, who will introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. Nhlanhla Ngcobo, may I now invite you to the podium to introduce our keynote speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Kululeko. Good morning to our DVC for Research, Prof. Anil Chatagun. Good morning to our colleagues. My task here is just to introduce our keynote speaker, Ms. May Cheng, who's going to talk to us on the topic of technologies in libraries and quality education. Ms. May Cheng is the Library IT Director at the University of Cincinnati in Ohio and has more than 15 years of management and leadership experience in special and academic libraries. She engages in strategic, operational services and budgetary planning and leverages technology for staff and patrons. Her professional interests include digital transformation of organizations, digital inclusion and literacy, and Internet of Things and smart and connected communities. She is also actively involved in professional organizations, including IFLA, Library Buildings and Equipment Section Committee as a member. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Ms. May Cheng to come and address us on the topic of technologies in libraries and quality education. Thank you.
This is the Wi-Fi. It's on. Which one do I
Go down UKZN data.
data?
Okay, and then I'll use my credentials.
Even I have technical difficulties connecting to the network. does this? It does this. So what's the Wi-Fi? I can type if you.
Okay.
So what is the account name?
MABUDA
MABUDA
J
J
at UKZN.
H. Oh no, sorry. Your account name.
At UKZN.
UKZN.
Dot AC. Dot ZA. And then my password.
Could not be joined. I'm not sure why it can't be joined. Worst case scenario, I have to use your computer and connect.
Okay. Let's just yeah. Okay.
There's no guest account, no? Awesome. Okay. How many people does it need to get onto the network? At least two. All right, so I think we are on the network. All right. I think we are on the network now. I'll just go on to the big one. All right, good. First off, thank you everyone for being here. It's also good that everybody is seated this way so I can make sure I look at everybody and not focus in one area. Okay, that was rambling. I know I'm supposed to stand here, so I'll ramble first and then I'll go into my presentation. Strategy. As always, it is a pleasure and an honor to be back in South Africa. I was just telling my colleagues whom I've known for years now, every time I come, I get to visit a different part. Cape Town, Stellenbosch, and then it was Joburg, Pretoria, and now I'm in this side of the country, which is like totally new. It's amazingly green, so it's been wonderful. So my presentation, Technologies and Libraries and Quality Education, what I try to do is to give a taste of the trend, all right? I mean, technology in libraries is ubiquitous. Everybody just about has a computer. We all have an ILS, but what is trending? So I'm trying to draw the balance between what is possible, what's happening out there, and just spark some interest, innovative interest in our librarians. What's happening? What our students may be expecting because they're kind of used to it. So they come to the library and they're like, whoa, maybe we should try something like this. All right? So it's going to be one of those where I'm going to give. All right, let's go this direction. Yes. So my agenda is going to be very briefly touch on current technologies, the technologies we are familiar with. I cannot miss out on AI. I mean, it is the hugest elephant in the room. We have to talk about that. But I won't go into detail because, as I'll say later, there is a symposium coming up in June. I will let the specialists and the wiser people speak to that. I'll just give you a couple of points about AI that I'm particularly keen on for the libraries that might, again, spark some interest among our librarians. And then my focus when I say technology in libraries and quality education, I want to focus on just one cluster of technology. I mean, it's very huge, right? Computers to software, just one cluster that I believe will, that the libraries can be engaged in to support quality education. And that is what we call immersive technologies, right? Okay. Technologies in libraries. As I said, the top part, we are all very familiar with your integrated library system. No library today, especially university libraries, you cannot operate without an integrated library system. I understand that you guys have WMS, right? You've got Ex Libris, there's so many packages out there, but without that package, it's impossible to run a library. Right, for all the different services that we provide. We have got open journal systems, institution repositories, all the new things coming out in libraries that require some sort of technology. Okay? Equipment, computers, both for internal staff as well as for students, because ultimately all of these help to support quality education. I mean, I know that South Africa sometimes have internet access difficulties, brownouts and things like that, but you still need it. Universities are better. I think you guys have like a backup power supply. So that's why a lot of students want to come to the university just to get access to Wi-Fi, right? Which is a good thing, okay? Then infrastructure order is important. The bottom bit in the, in those circular dots there, not a lot of libraries have, but many are going towards it, okay? Your makerspace, 3D printing. Sad to say, my library, we wanted 3D printing and makerspace, but we couldn't do it because ventilation issues in an old building. Okay. But a lot of libraries have. I think Pretoria had it. We saw some of those when we were there the last time. AR equipment, those when you play games with the glasses, robotics. Again, sad to say, I wanted it, but my library then didn't want it. So again, you guys are also leaping ahead. The advantage of not having these now and then jumping into it later, you're going to get better equipment, better software. So it's okay not to have it now. Okay? So I'll move on a little bit. Okay, the big thing is AI. It is all over the place now. You cannot escape it, right? But just to say that, we're all familiar, ChatGPT, Copilot. The most recent news is DeepSeek, and recently it was Qwen. They're coming out of China. It's really beating down the price. OpenAI, they've cut out. The issue is that because it's coming in, speaking from the US point of view, coming in from China, DeepSeek, my campus has basically put a firewall. You can't get to DeepSeek and all of those when you're on campus. Unlike a lot of, I was in the Middle East last month, their librarians were just comparing DeepSeek and OpenAI. I'm like, you can't do it. So I was learning a lot from them because they have access to it. We have this restrictions on some of those things. If you have it, go check it out. It's pretty interesting, okay? With generative AI these days, you can actually put in anything and find some answers to it, okay? Trust me, I did not use OpenAI on this. Okay? My presentation is my own brain. No AI involved in this. I want to mention something about RAG augmented generation, and just a mention about AI agents. Users, you'll hear about this in June. Okay, you can hear some very standard things. AI agents, as we talk about AI, and then it became generative AI. What is interesting about that and why it is relevant is natural language processing, and then it's, what's the word I was thinking of? It's got, I've got it written here, inference versus structured. Because there's so much data, the algorithm infers. It makes more connections between what you're asking and what is in context available in the large language model. That's why when you go to ChatGPT, it brings up some very interesting insights. It could be wrong, but generally it touches things, which traditionally AI doesn't do, machine learning doesn't do. It now infers. It seems to think of what you may be asking. And I've got a couple of examples, okay? AI agents, that's the next step. Okay, this is where it's becoming even more intelligent, picking from what you ask to, actually helping you do your stuff. All right, and this is the part that people get scared. It's going to take my jobs away. All right, is it going to? Probably not for some time. Right? Some jobs, yes, you can anticipate it, but not a lot. You still need librarians, honestly. Okay, at least to teach the students how to use a better way of using some of these tools. Okay. And one of my favorite quotes, Marissa Mayer, she's one of those engineers, former executive and Yahoo CEO. She's a techno-optimist, right? Trying to balance it. Applied thoughtfully, it does help us. Okay? So, just to mention this, with AI, it's large language models. Basically, it's like the internet. Early days of Google, right? It just looks at the net. Good, bad, ugly, it'll come out. For the libraries, we have got a lot of curated, trusted information, but we don't want just to release it onto the net. You've got to come into the library or access it online to get to what we have. So with RAG, the large language model is augmented by what the library has. Okay? So when you look at the diagram, the prompt comes in the bottom right corner, you can imagine that as library data. Your special collections, anything that's over there. So when the prompt comes in, it checks both what the library has as well as the public use, what's available in the large language model. And then it comes up with a modified with some solid library trusted information. Okay? So a lot of libraries are now using this to allow access to their collections. Okay? Trusted. And I think the next one is the example. Okay. This is a screenshot from the Northwestern University. The thing is that the US context and also a lot of places I've looked at, because it's going to AI, compute and cost is very high, and we are still not sure what people are going to get. They tend to keep it to their own campus. You have to have the ID password to log in to get to it. So let's see if it's going to work. All right. Okay. So this is the Northwestern. This is their digital collections website. Okay. You see this? Use generative AI. You've got to check that, but then it's going to ask you for your ID password. All right, so bear that in mind. You can restrict some of the information. And it's also to protect, just in case somebody finds some information that is misinformation or hallucination, as they call it. So university, especially libraries, we still have to protect ourselves. That's why they're doing it there. But what I'm trying to get to is that Northwestern has done this project, and this is a screenshot. If you look at the question, what posters in the collection depict the importance of food, right? If we didn't have AI, imagine your metadata librarian trying to put all these keywords in. The librarian has to anticipate the sort of questions that the student's going to ask. How do you anticipate that, right? But with generative AI and this autonomous learning, there's so much potential, right? You still have to have some metadata, but it just looks at information, it tells you, and looking just at the poster collection, and these are some of the things that their version of ChatGPT came up with. Okay, I'll move along. And part of this, part of their research and serendipity, if you get to this, it's actually a. Okay, this is the one that they did. You can look at, I'll give you the slides, you can look on it, but they wrote the article on it, and I looked at the article, and lo and behold, this screenshot was actually in that article. Okay, and if you look at the question that they asked, Northwestern has a very extensive collection, okay? I'm writing a paper about apartheid, what kind of documents might be helpful? I mean, it's one of those open-ended questions, So suddenly having a generative AI tool, it's looking at the collection, coming back and saying that, these are some potential topics for the students. Imagine for teaching, learning, and research, whether it's librarians or faculty, to be able to ask questions like that. And let the system pull out something to tease the brains, let the student read. Hopefully the student doesn't use that to write the whole paper, but some ideas that come out of it, right? Okay, that. So, shall we say, full disclosure, there are only 2 slides I went and used. I used Claude.ai rather than ChatGPT, right? Just to ask, what is the impact of AI? Since you're an AI agent, tell me what it is. This actually came out. It's actually a straight shot from Claude.ai. Impact, challenges. Some of them are kind of new, but then others were like, oh my gosh, even I didn't think about that, So it helped, okay? Now, I'm not going to trust it. There are no data. Most of it I've read from articles, so I know it's trusted. Okay. So then, I won't read it. It's basically, helpful and challenges, okay? And just to sort of round it off, some of AI resources, you find them everywhere. Every other library is doing a LibGuide on AI resources, everybody. The IFLA, our AI special interest group, if you join that list, you get it. We have got a particular person there who just monitors it, and she'll just be sending out the latest reading. Summit conference is happening, so if you want to follow it, there are plenty of resources. For those interested in competencies for academic library workers, the Association of College and Research Libraries in the US, they are doing this survey on, they're asking now for input to complete this report. Oops. Oh, you guys don't see this. I actually have the PowerPoint up, but now I don't see it. We saw the one from Northwestern, but not for this.
Oh, you wanna show this
Yeah.
one?
Which I clicked on.
Yeah. 1 second. Let's see. Where do you? I'm gonna just exit the show,
To exit the show.
and then where's the?
Okay, I'll click on that. Okay, it is this one here. It shouldn't be there. It doesn't need to. Okay. The URLs it will be in the slide, so I will send this out to you guys. Okay. So now, okay. Some universities actually subscribe to free AI training with Google, right? So instead of it always happens. Literacy, go to the library. Our librarians are having to deal with basic AI, having to then learn enough to teach at faculty level and at student level. University of Hawaii basically just got the AI training set. Right? LinkedIn also has some. There are various packages that come out, right? Like 5 courses in one, go through it. So that leaves the librarians with the more specialized ones by subject, or where the faculty wants something very specific, then I think the librarians can have a better, more quality training session. Okay? All right, so as I said, there's plenty of LibGuides, Google search, conferences. With the IFLA IT section, what we have done is there a question? Okay, yeah. So with the IT section, we actually started this instead of, it was very hard to find people to come to the annual IFLA, okay, because who can travel all these places? So we flipped it and said, let the IT section go around the world. That's why I'm traveling. Our folks are traveling, right? So we started off 2019. You'll find that South Africa has been really great. Every 2 years, they wanted it in South Africa somewhere. So that's why Pretoria was online, COVID season. Then it went to Potchefstroom, 23, and then coming in, 25, is UKZN. Right? So it's like, yes. So this is the website. For those of you who are online, register and come visit. I mean, it's like, it's amazing. It's limited seating. It's 150 to 200 seats. So register. Come on in. It's going to be, it promises to be a very interesting event. About 40 plus abstracts were submitted from South Africa, the continent, and international. Right? So you hear different perspectives on this. Okay, it'll be a great chance to network. There's going to be a braai, I was told. So there's going to be a community thing as well. Okay, all right. So that's about AI. The one I want to talk about then is immersive technologies. Okay. Okay, so this is just a cluster of them, AR, VR, holograms, a lot of show and tell. It's got great impact on teaching, learning, and research. Early days, we only had books, and then the videos came in. Suddenly, it's a new way of, reaching out, multimodal way of teaching and learning. Okay? So, immersive technology represents that sort of the next step. Okay, and we'll see more the reasons for that, and AI is also going to be coming into some of these. Okay? Okay. I've divided into 2 parts. Part 1, a lot of this we know, right? Immersive technology, augmented reality. I should have my phone here. Augmented reality is the one that it overlays information on the real world. So Pokemon Go, The famous game, right? You go around looking at your phone, trip over something, it's always the phone, right? Then, oh, thank you. I just wanted to take your phone, that's all. Okay. And the idea is that it adds information to the real world. That's all it is. So those early days, a lot of campus tours, library tours, some still do it. You can see, let's see now, yeah, this one here. I did this with my students back in 2008. Yeah. Everything old is new again. But what makes the difference is that there's better technology, better compute, more students with this. Back in the day, you didn't have that, right? And the quality of generating content is so much higher. Remember the days of the early 600 pixels is like, not sharp. Now everything is just very sharp and clear, right? So, and the fun part is that you just get the students to do it. It looks good on their CV, they've got something to do, it helps the library. So we did campus tours. 2017, Harvard Business Review published an article on it, where you open the page, use the phone, and then it feels as though that thing's coming out. And it tells you things moving. So imagine adding that level to your special collections. They come in, look at the special manuscript, what things they can read. They can press a button, gives them some background history. So there's a lot of ways to be creative about that, supporting education, okay? So let me look at this. Google Translate is another one. I can actually take a picture, or not even take a picture, put my camera onto some Zulu words that will translate to English. So traveling abroad, I think Nonna will say, we were in Spain, was it? No, we were in Chile, and they speak Spanish primarily. Everything's in Spanish. So we just look at it. How much is this shirt? It'll tell you. So the auto translation. Okay. We should learn the language, but at a pinch, it translates it, right? It's really good, right? And interesting to see what technology can do for us. Google Translate started with the major languages, French, German, Spanish, the big ones. Now they've even gone down to Zulu. I mean, it's, soon we have hopefully a lot of languages in. Okay? Great for travel. Okay? If you want to figure out what to do, there is Meka.com. It doesn't flip, so I have to end the show. Okay. And then go to, yeah. So it's just download. The free version will give you, the basic things to create. You want more features, you just subscribe to it. Okay. How you use this platform, add to it, create it, and do it. Okay. Learn how to fix a computer, if you want to. Okay. I should move on a little bit. Okay. So this is augmented reality, an overlay of information on the real world that then you can use this phone to supplement your information. Google Glass tried to do that. Without the phone, wearing the glass, you can see what is going on, but it didn't pick up because people like me, I wear glasses, I can't wear another one, all right? So Google Glass was another useful one, okay? The next one is virtual reality. Virtual reality means the environment doesn't exist, right? It's like Hollywood, Bollywood, it's just smoke and mirrors, okay? But it simulates an environment, okay? So the famous ones would be, where is my flight simulator? Okay, since it doesn't go automatically, I'll just click a few, and Robella. Oh, see, okay. Now I'll close. I will. I'm not sure why it isn't doing it, but okay. This is famous. The Microsoft flight simulator. You can actually learn how to fly a plane by doing this. I mean, this is what pilots in training do. They go into a simulation. Here you can simulate on your desktop. And those are not real people. They are avatars in that world. Okay? So if you go a little bit more, And because now, the content is so sharp, it's almost real. But all this is simulated. Okay. So if you have got an aviation school, trust me, they'll be using some of this. The students will be working from home. You simulate. Okay. The other version of virtual is this. You can build a city, build a library, and you have got people like avatars moving around. Okay. For those of you who remember all those years ago, Second Life was popular. This is a new version of it. It's got online, it's got conferencing, all built in. When I first saw it, one of our professors was actually using this for his class, architecture design. I was like, oh, my time we gave up on this. But he says that his students love it. Okay. So it's coming back in full circle. If you think your students going to enjoy it, go for it. Okay, different options. Let's go back there. Okay. As part of looking into virtual reality, I found these. This is actually a production studio in Johannesburg. Right? There's a local company providing content. And let me click a couple. And this is interesting. A virtual reality pangolin made me cry and care about the planet. Okay. And what is interesting is this one here. Okay. This is the company in Johannesburg. Now, their focus is on nature, as an example, their project highlights. And what they created, this lady wrote the article, right? You could see pangolin are those anteaters, right? Those cute little creatures. And apparently, everybody who viewed it started to cry behind the headset. So if that can happen to adults, imagine that level of connection with students in education, where it's not just text or books. When you get down to connection at that emotional level, that says something, right? So if you've got a chance to read the article, it's interesting. Okay. So this is the pangolin searching for ants in the desert. So that company in Johannesburg made it so compelling, they were crying behind the headset. All right. Do one that says, I love the library. Right? So that there is, companies that do the local, they're local, but they're also international. And you guys have the resource here. I mean, yeah. Okay. So let me get back. And maybe back to that. Okay. So that's virtual reality. And then we go to there. This is a good example. The Toronto Metropolitan University Library has got a partnership with the Aga Khan Museum. Okay. So what they have done is that they've got this typical website, they've got an immersion studio, and the part I like about this, and what I said earlier, they get students to help them. So if you've got digital media students, web design students, bring them on board. Right? They expand their digital skills. All these skills will build towards television, the marketing and communication, promotion, all wonderful skills to have. Okay, and then I'll just show what they have done in the Rumi exhibition. Open link in the new, okay, yeah. So they had this exhibition, but the event has passed, but they have a 3D tour. Some libraries have actually used this 3D to visit the library. Okay. This one, yes, yeah, the floor plan. Okay. And there's a way to make it move. View more. Right. So you're viewing it in 3D. Suddenly your spatial recognition. Imagine you're doing, in the days of geometry, right, and shapes. All you have is on a piece of paper, you imagine it as a cone. But with this, it's actually 3D. This one here, there's a free version. We have done this free version. You want more features, you get a paid version. But the free version will do it. They just put their name on it, which you can delete. Okay. Again, we had students working on it. Okay. So they basically build, I'll be closer. And then you can look at this, look for more information, view more. You can see more information. You can go backwards, go towards something to look at this. So it's just a 3D visualization of knowledge, of an object. Build this into a curriculum, come visit the library, different floors, what we have. Right? Just a different way of a poster, 3D. Okay? Now we go back to here. Okay, I will move on. Okay. Okay, so we're here. So the second part, these are bigger setups, a bit more involved, but just as immersive. And some universities have already gone into it. So if you guys are thinking about this, it's amazing. Okay, it's been again around for some time, depending on which one you look at. So the digital twin, virtual reality is not real. It's just a simulated environment. A digital twin is an actual, a twin simulation of your environment. So you can simulate a virtual model of your library. The idea is that if you increase the temperature, what happens? The digital model you can work on. Okay? Rather than going to the physical building and changing the air conditioning, you can use your digital twin to do things and see how it's going to impact the real world. Okay? So it's almost a flip. Think of it for medical research, for anatomy learning. Engineering, construction. Construction. A lot of surgery these days is done simulation because you just, there are not enough people to cut into, so simulation helps as part of the training. Geospatial. So there's a lot of possibilities, and some of the larger universities have implemented some of these for student teaching and learning, okay? And also research. If you change the shape of a particular part, what is the impact on it? Otherwise, it's too expensive to build a part, which is what 3D printing would do, but you simulate before you start doing that. So it's part of the learning tool set. Okay. All right, so that's one. This one is interesting. It started way back in 2019, University of Illinois. The idea is that the cave, okay, you walk into this room, even the floor and the ceiling, it's all, as though you're stepping into another world. Okay, again, it is part of immersion, so you can get into that environment to really do your learning and teaching that much more immersively, connect better with the environment. Okay. I'm just going to click a few because it doesn't seem to switch on that. So University of Central Florida, she is one of the early pioneers of that. Where you walk into the room, the whole thing becomes a cave, right? And then Let me show you this. So companies have picked it up. The future. So the thing is that, again, coming from where I am, where there are large manufacturing companies, whenever we speak with them, they always say, we want work-ready students. Okay, and they're hoping the university provides that initial level of training so that by the time they are hired, they have got all the as much of the expertise needed. Otherwise, the companies have to start training them. So they want to bypass that step. They are using some of these systems. So my contention is that the university should have something like this so that they can train our students to get them to where they can really step into industry. Right. Otherwise, it just gives them a leg up for the students. It gives the university a better reputation. Student success, work-ready students, we call that. Okay. Airbus, we have got GE in Cincinnati, and they're working on engines like that. So the expertise, okay. Or they simulate all these models. So from the Marines to the Army to aeronautical engineering, they're all using this. Okay. This is a particular company. I just picked them. There are several others. I picked them because they happen to have a video that looked interesting. Okay. So they can build all kinds of environment for that immersive feel. Okay, there's a cave. And this is basically like this. This is actually something that they picked from us because we wanted it. Okay. Sorry, it's got to go down some more. Okay, custom configuration.
Of archaeological data, and it's very difficult to get our minds around these data in 2D. So by using a 3D environment, we're looking at the data in new imaginative ways. That's perfect. So now we're actually standing on the virgin soil. I mean, this is how we do it on a dig. This is a small altar.
So it's, we cannot take every student to an archaeological dig, right? So do it virtually because all these data points are already collected. So they use 3D to represent the whole virtual environment before they get to the real dig site. Okay. Holograms is the last of that cluster. This is the one that the Dick Tracy watch. The blue figure comes up. Those of you who watch comics and Star Trek. Okay, so basically it's usually bluish color. It's already available. The Brisbane Zoo has it. If you watch the movie Jurassic World and you see the blue color dinosaur, that's a hologram. But imagine having that as an object you can walk around and learn from that, right? So, sorry about this, guys. It's so this is the Brisbane Zoo has it. So they walk around and they actually look at these. There's HEC Paris. It's a business institute in Paris. They have campuses in the Middle East and other places, but it's too expensive to send the faculty over, give them 1 week's accommodation and fly them back. So they use this technology to do teaching. Okay. We use Zoom, but this is like one step up. You can see things in 3D instead of 2D. Okay. All right. So this person, and I'll just show this slide very quickly.
It's good to see you. I think some of you thought that you already saw me today. You didn't.
You know her, right?
I was a hologram.
Okay.
There's a company called Proto. It creates holograms, and I got a hold of one of their machines, and I surprised some people that came into the riffraff room before the show. Here's a little bit of that.
So you need a studio, and it's just beamed out there.
Hey, everybody. I am so happy that you're here for our final season. I'm getting ready for the show, and that's why I made this hologram to welcome you. Thank you. How are you? Fantastic.
She's
Thank
like
you for
miles
asking.
away, totally different city.
For sure, get the hat.
Stop it! Stop it!
Because the box has a
Welcome to the
camera
Ellen
looking
Shop
out.
Experience,
right?
everybody.
Oh, she's so cute.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Are you?
No.
Is that really you?
It is me. Is it really you?
Oh my God! Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hi. Wait, what?
Isn't this cool?
What color am I wearing?
You have like a yellow. Let's all do rock, paper, scissors, okay?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, snap.
Oh,
God, you wrap me in the paper, don't you?
did.
Oh,
I
well.
did it. Ellen, I love you.
I
You're
love you
so
too.
cute.
Hey, Andy, come say hi.
Stop it!
All right. I'll see y'all soon, and you'll be dancing in a minute.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
So imagine your librarian, instead of on Zoom, is a 3D actually interacting. It's just another format, another way to, interact with your students. It may work, it's a little bit of cost, but that university invested in it because they needed that technology. Okay. The president of my university, he likes to meet the parents when they come in, but he's not in the office all the time. So he did ask, like, is there a technology that shows him talking to the visitors? So we suggested one of this. So it can be videoed in advance and just played out, or it can be live. You see, there's a camera up there that he can interact with the parents. So marketing and promotion, right? That's one way to do it. If you have been to, I think there's several airports that actually have that. Welcome to, So it looks real. It feels better than a poster or Zoom. Again, just to make the interaction more real with 3D. Okay. And now I go back to PowerPoint, and I go back up to, sure, okay. So some of the examples of universities has already established some of these, and it's not recent, some of them have been around for quite a few years. Dreamscape, I still have to do this. And then I'll do this. And I'll talk some more as I do this. Okay. In the US, Arizona State University is well known for being very innovative. They have a president there who's like, let's get it done, right? It's just known. So this one place I tend to look at. So they did this about 4 or 5 years ago. They set it up, they worked with this company. Dreamscape actually started with the Hollywood movies, right? You go to Orlando, Florida, and you see this immersion. They decided to move into the educational field. So these two formed a partnership to build Hollywood, Bollywood into teaching and learning. Okay? It's the next step up. 2 years later, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the president saw it's like, build it. But he also specified, I want it in the library. It's like, yes. Because the library is neutral, everybody comes to the library. Okay. So he said, and so the library had no choice, right? The president wants it. So they cleared out the second floor. 2 years ago, they got it set up. Their VIP sneak peek is end of March. In fall this year is their official opening. So, the universities are coming into this area, okay? So you've got this new way of learning, which is very similar to what we saw. Now, they use glasses. They were able to actually say how many percent in success rate for the students, better understanding of space.
Too often, we actually force students to learn things that really isn't going to be useful to them once they get out from undergraduate education. So most of the stuff that I learned, that I find useful, I learned on a job trying to perform a specific task or solve a specific problem. So how do we solve that problem? One way to solve that problem is to rethink how we educate people and to focus less on specific details and more on process. Do I know what to do with that knowledge? Do I know how to vet that knowledge to determine whether it's accurate? What virtual reality and Dreamscape Learn in particular helps us do is it helps us to put students through experiences that enable them to practice those skills. So they can engage in just about any experience anywhere in the world because it's a virtual world. It gives us the freedom to design all kinds of highly relevant, novel problems for students to encounter, analyze, and solve on their own. So there's a body of literature that already shows that virtual reality experiences enhance retention and also can prepare a student to perform a task. With a median grade of 96%, students in the Dreamscape Learn labs were 1.7 times more likely to receive an A than were students in the traditional labs.
I didn't expect it to look so realistic. This is definitely cooler. This is definitely better.
Yeah, compared to in-person, VR experience is a lot more beneficial to learn from.
It's more immersive. You feel everything. You get a lot more hands-on experience.
It felt like I was in the environment itself.
You can feel the movement. You can hear like the birds. You can hear the wildlife around you. You can see the wildlife around you.
The chairs move, like the chairs shake and they have like wind blowing at you when you're like flying around.
Instead of just reading about it, you get to experience it. You're using almost all 5 of your senses and you're getting a lot of information different ways, and so I think that's a lot more helpful than just reading from a textbook.
We've built such a great platform for immersive and experiential learning. We have the ability to deliver any type of experience to our students. We essentially have a portal that can take students anywhere to learn anything. And when you think about it that way, I think the better question might be, what won't Dreamscape Learn look like in the future? Because
This one more. This one more. So I didn't say those things. ASU faculty and student did. So again, it's, I think, partly because students coming out these days are so used to the television, media, things moving. They're playing games, especially those that play games. They already have the equipment. So then you come in and then it's just books. I love libraries, don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to give a sense of it's books. And even with books, perhaps with augmented reality, but it's a lot of work, so most libraries we don't do things like that. But with this sort of teaching and learning, how do we marry the two, right? Reading books could become more exciting. It went from the book to a tablet, right? Reading on a tablet. What about actually experiencing Alice in Wonderland? It's just the technology is there. What we do with it, it's left to our imagination. Okay, take a virtual tour. I don't think we need to do this one here, so I'll go back. Okay. All right. Oh, sorry. There is one more. Sorry. There is one more. And this one will actually, as part of this, I'm actually a co-chair of my university's Immersive Learning Technologies Working Group. And as going forward, we are also looking at these two technologies, the one at Arizona State and this one here called Axiom, holographics. Universities and research holograms. If we go further down, there are all these benefits. So imagine universities looking at these sort of technologies for manufacturing. We have got design, architecture, construction, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. So we're looking at this to supplement teaching and learning. Okay, astronomy, physics, research hologram devices. There are different devices, so we're looking to see which is best. They all need space, and the central IT person keeps saying, the library has space, the library has space. So I'm like, yes, we have, but I need the books to be moved aside. Right? So these are some of the formats of holograms that is available, so we're looking further into it. So yeah, it's pretty exciting because I know the students are interested. Right? This is one example of a university library that's involved in immersive learning, but the curriculum is very, it's holistic, all right? In the class, they're individual, they wear headsets, they do their work. This is tourism, forestry management, hotel tourism, eco, where they actually have to be in the environment. Tourism, virtual reality. They don't have to visit the city, they can do it virtually. So they have this individual, they also come together in a classroom, setting. The library has 360 gallery view. You can walk into the room and you see in big screens, surrounded by the forest. Right? So they've managed to put it all together over time. It didn't happen all at once. Obviously, the glasses came first, right? And then they actually have students going out to do the film. They have to go out anyway as part of eco and management. They went out and they took pictures. Then they have this photogrammetry capture studio. They've got students to work on putting the thing together to make the content. So it shows up nicely on these visualization labs and the immersive gallery experience. Because just one alone, they felt it was sufficient, but give them the whole experience. So this is the other slide that I used Claude AI to generate. Okay. The details of this is hidden, but I'll open it up when I send out the PowerPoint to you guys. Okay. There are positive impacts and there are obvious challenges. As you can see, it's something new for librarians to learn. Okay. You need to find the resources, the staff, the technical. Your IT team is going to be involved. It's going to be fun. Okay. But you need resources to help build this. So partnerships are important. Who in South Africa can do this? I know there are a lot of technology companies. I've seen them in Cape Town, right? Find partnerships, just that we partner with vendors, right? Because most jobs these days is all technology driven, okay? The bottom line is mine. My belief that it will improve student learning outcomes when thoughtfully integrated into curriculum design, supported by institutional investment in the necessary infrastructure. You need both. The library is only one part of it. Library professionals is another part of it. But you need the campus buy-in, right? Ultimately, we look at it, our push was to say student success, workforce-ready students. Right? Okay. Just to give it a different flavor, while we say technology is important, this is one case where I had to put technology in the back seat. Okay? This is the health science library. We have one. There's a computer lab. Over time, especially during COVID, it was like nobody came in. By that time, every other student had a laptop. Okay. Then I had money saved from COVID, two plus years. We had this IT fund that got saved, and there was a whole bunch left. If I don't use it, the provost will sweep it away. Okay. So I went to this lab. Based on data, we know we need to do something. I asked my IT staff. They all wanted new computers, big screens. Let's boost up the place. I'm like, sounds good, but what if they don't come? This is a class, what if we build it and they don't come? They've got laptops. What is it they need? So I went to speak with the Office of Medical Education, the Dr. Giffen, he's the guy in charge. He was like, computers. Right? A lot of the older faculty are like, computers. So he said, can we use the money to put in something different? So I said, what do you have in mind? And he suggested what they call plastinated specimens. If you work in medical and health, these are, I'll show it to you. Okay. So this is a case, we actually took 2 years to do this. From a computer lab, totally revamped, it's now anatomy learning. 150,000 US dollars, we got several of these. This is basically cadavers that the company takes out the liquid, puts in silicone, color the red for the capillaries and all of that. Because if you've got a cadaver and you slice it, that's it. You can't re-slice it and teach to the next class because the body will start to die. That's why medical science, they put all the organs in those formaldehyde bottles. Well, you can't look into it either. You smell formaldehyde. So this company actually have plastinated specimens. So we got half a head, so you can actually see the heads. Because of the limited fund, he decided that he would get those specimens that is extremely difficult to do surgery on. So your hands, all the tendons, for the students to learn about the hand, the foot, because they're, it's when you actually look at it, it's just plastic. It looks like plastic, right? But it's actually silicone. The kidneys, once you cut it, it's gone. So this supplements they're learning, the students love it, because not everybody can gather in the wet lab because there's blood everywhere, in the drying of that thing. It's like, yes. So they've got a table there, everything, all the fluids are flowing, this is dry. So they go to the wet lab, see what they can, and then they're sent up here. All these are on tables. This is part of the opening ceremony. They're all, like the librarian there, we cannot let it on the loose, it must be nailed down onto a table. We can't have students knocking things over. So we nailed each specimen to a table, the students walk around. There's a blue light, red pen, laser light for them to understand the different parts. They can see it. The thorax has been cut open, so they can see it. At this point, the only technology there, we don't even have computers there, because I said, let's work on this, and if as we see how it progresses, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, see what sort of computing they need. We still have a couple of technology devices, but over time they have been underused. So we're going to still leave it there to see how well it complements each other. Okay. Stanford over in California has an arrangement with one of the hospital systems, and they've got an entire anatomy lab with every other plastinated specimen. The entire cadaver, body, is about $100,000 each. But this is the human body, you just can't get the male, right? You could get the female, which means otherwise your students, you can't just learn about one type of body, you got to have more, right? Internal organs, the heart, but as a body, you need male, female. So if you're doing gynecology, right, you need a female. But if you need, we have one that actually looks at, male parts, female parts. Okay. And librarians, there was one person who said, we should actually keep it very discreet because we don't want the parents to come in and start going, ooh. You're like, wait a minute, this is a medical school. Parents shouldn't be squeamish, students have to learn it. So we're not out in the open. This library has got clear glass all the way. It's people come in, walk by, so it's so attractive. This is what we teach our students these days. Yeah. So again, is it technology useful or not? Quality education, it can go either way. So just to summarize, mindful technology integration. Okay. What works best for this university? What are the courses you guys teach? What works best, right? Equitable access, all the good things we learn about technology. We need to maintain privacy, especially with AI. Blended learning, which is what students have. Books alone don't do it anymore, right? Books, articles, e-resources, video, actual looking at the objects. And immersive learning is just part of it. Okay? I put cost versus priorities. We all know about cost. Okay? And the key takeaways: has the potential to improve libraries, education, but balancing it. Okay. We can't have all of one and all of the other. Right? It has the potential to increase quality of education. If you get the immersive learning right, we already know design, architecture, manufacturing, you got it right by using that technology. Okay? And the libraries have an important role to play. We do. We are Switzerland, we are neutral, everybody comes to us. Right? If you just have this in the engineering lab, the arts students won't go because it's like that college. But you put it in the library, they all come. Hmm? Yeah. A space for learning, and the librarians have something new to look at, something new to do. It's like, go check that out. Right? It's part of the library service, support quality of education. Quality has got a connotation of quality, so I use quality in the broad sense. We want to improve it, and the library is always part of that. Okay. And that's it. I think I overshot my time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you sincerely to Ms. Mei Cheng. Thank you. Thank you sincerely to Ms. Mei Cheng for such a thought-provoking keynote on technologies in libraries and quality education. Your insights into how emerging and immersive technologies, including artificial intelligence, can reshape our services and advance equitable education have truly set the tone for our day. Thank you. Let's give May another hand of applause. We have a discussion question to put on May. I have started with 3 May, and then we'll see if our audience have more questions. What are the biggest challenges libraries face in adopting new technologies, and how can they be overcome? That's the first question. The second question is, how can libraries use technology to make learning more inclusive for students with disabilities? With the last one, with rapid digital transformation, what skills should librarians develop to remain relevant in a tech-driven environment? Let's start with those 3. Do you want to come? The first question was, yeah, let me leave it.
This reminds me of going for a job interview. Ask one question. It's actually a 3-part question. I'm like, okay. Okay. The biggest challenges faced by libraries: funding, that's one. The leadership. Is the leader going to say, go for it? Okay. But it must be backed up by money. Okay. So libraries also have to then say, I will start looking for partnerships. That's why we're looking at the companies that provided those 2 technologies to show us a demo. What can you offer us as higher education? Reduce the rates, longer term license. So we have to figure out what's the best approach for that. Okay. The other one, apart from funding and leadership, both at campus level, academic libraries, right? Both at campus and at the library level leadership, it's also about staff. Okay, it's very easy to get burnout. All right, as it is, AI is swamping the world. If I suddenly say we need to build this, my librarians will be like, what next? Right. So again, it's what I've tried to do is to then say, who are my early champions, the low-hanging fruit staff who may be interested in this. Find those that are not busy with AI and all the things they have to do. So I wouldn't call on my literacy librarians. They're really busy coming up with what to do with AI. I will start looking at maybe the junior staff and some of our students. Get them excited about these sort of technologies. Let them take the first step to learn. When we get it, they can start coming back and train the trainers, kind of thing. Okay. Trust me, AI, this is not the time to load librarians with something else. That's what I'm saying. This is more, tease your brains and say, what if? It's totally different from AI, but there is AI here. Imagine immersive learning. With AI built in, they can actually analyze how the student is reacting, right? Build the AI into it to change the questions. So there is that connection there, right? It's not just about literacy and what is ChatGPT, how do you use ChatGPT? It's a little bit more. And my hope is that they really pick it up, because when ChatGPT came up and everybody excited, every 2 to 3 weeks, new things started to come in. And it was like, when do we stop? Right? Just when we think we got ChatGPT, DeepSeek is already here. Right? So again, to be aware of staff time, burnout, identify your best people to pick it up if you're really going into it. Right? And it's just about project work management. Okay? Next question. No, it's locked out. What was the second question? Can you remember? We go back to paper. Okay. We can make learning more inclusive with disabilities. I did not put it on that first slide, but most libraries, most if not all libraries, do provide some sort of equipment for disability, whether it's large JAWS, what is the other one? Dragon Speak, where you can convert text to, a speech, right? All that equipment is almost standard with disabilities. A lot of buildings now, you have to, just kind of steps, you need to have those ramps, and libraries are the first places to have it. So use that, make learning more inclusive. There are some computers, yes, you can, how do you say? For those, I'm not sure about the Android, but I know the iPhone has. The settings for disability, it's very long. Colors, if you have got a particular color issue, you can configure the iPhone to meet any disability. That is why gaming on that, I went through a workshop on it. Every little thing you can configure, fingers of one hand. Well, there was this disability, you got to use your feet. So the software has helped to support the hardware. So again, you need to know what's available on the equipment, which is why on my campus, there's an Office of Disability. So they have the technical expertise. Our librarians tend to consult them. How do we do this? We have a room dedicated to disability devices. I believe I was at Peter Maritzburg, you haven't. The public library, the largest public library in Emirates, they have their disability equipment right where the public computers are, because they didn't want to be exclusive. They wanted to feel as though it's normal. You just come in, whether you use a regular computer or a disabled person using the disability equipment, is part of society, rather than saying you go to one room. So that's how they also view it that way. Right? For us, we have a room for them. But you find students sneaking in to use the equipment because it's a quiet room. Okay. So again, it's understanding what the technology can provide. Some of the software for immersive learning, it's still not accessible for certain disabilities, visual. It's very hard to have the 3D for visually impaired folks. Right? So the Matterport that you saw with the ground floor and the map, they have the accessibility is actually the text-based. So you can hear the text going very fast, right? So that's how they overcome it. But certain technologies, there's no way, not at this present time. Okay? So then the decision is, do you want to do it, or do you not want to do it? Or is just the text good enough? Right. Decisions librarians make. With rapid digital transformation, what skills should librarians develop to remain relevant in a tech-driven environment? Literacy, keeping up. Every Christmas, you find something new under the Christmas tree, technology. Whether it's the iPad, the next phone, it's all coming. The gaming consoles, right? Let the children learn and you learn from them. ChatGPT, the students do better than the faculty. They just pick it up. Even before we say, don't do it, privacy, security, how can you sign on with your proper name and password? Yeah. Because they're keen to explore. So let's leverage that before we say, with AI, there are usually, generally, two groups. Those that want to go explore. The other group that says, no, we must talk about algorithmic bias, equity, and what else? Ethics. The ethics, right? Okay, my thing about ethics is that I think ethics is in the librarian's DNA. Right? We're not going to give you, your social security number. It's like, we don't. This is, from Ranganathan's 5 principles to what we do every day. We don't just give you data. So ethics is built in. So sometimes listening to the talks about ethics and AI, before they even understand what it can do, suddenly it's about ethics. Right. So even IT staff working in libraries, they know. They just can't release. We just don't do it. So ethics, yeah. But it is true, there are certain parts about AI because of the data. Okay, the algorithm can bring out bias, not because we have bias, but the data is skewed. If you have got a lot of information, a lot of data about particular gender roles, right? When you ask a particular question and they're looking into that data, it could skew the information because you don't have the other, what do you call it, contradicting information to look at, right? Remember in the early days, there were students who said, we can't find anything about the Holocaust on Google. Holocaust did not happen. Well, where were you looking at, right? So, sometimes AI has got that sort of a feel. What was it that they was looking at? Okay. So you still come back to books, history, what the librarians know to balance it out. Right? So we still have a lot of things to do with AI. It's, there's a lot of data is still messed up, and that's why the library data is important, because ours is curated, it is trusted.
Yes, quality data is important in AI because most tools, if not all, are trained on data. So it's important to have a quality data when we're training these AI tools. Also, as libraries now, we're worried about cybersecurity on top of ethics. Yeah, colleagues, if there's any burning questions, any hand? Look like we're releasing you.
If you need to ask, if you want to ask questions, you can send me an email. I'm always willing to answer any questions. Please do. Okay. Just as much as I'm interested in learning from you guys what you have here.
Colleagues, we're going for a tea break. The time is 10:50. We're gonna take 20 minutes, so we'll come back at that will be 11. Please, if we can allow our speakers to proceed first, and for those who have dietary preferences, please note that we do have vegetarian option available. Enjoy your refreshment, and we're looking forward to continue our discussion shortly. Thank you.
The ICS. That is audio visual.
Yeah, they do everything.
Computing, hardware, software.
Yes, everything, everything.
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll check later.
Oh, awungeke, awungeke. No. Ngizayisho mina. Because mina
Showtime, kid.
Hell yeah.
Together, we could shut their system down.
Get ready. Robots helping humans.
I know it's nuts. No offense.
Good morning again, colleagues, honored guests and distinguished speakers and friends. As we move forward, it is my pleasure to call back Dr. Nonhlanhla Ngcobo, University of KwaZulu-Natal Library Services Director, who will introduce our guest speakers for this session. Dr. Ngcobo, please come to the podium.
Good morning again, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and my privilege to introduce two very special ladies who are our speakers for this part of the morning. The first one is Ms. Nthabisenko Tsokwane. Ms. Nthabisenko Tsokwane is the Assistant Director at the University of the Free State Libraries Library and Information Services, my apologies. She was the inaugural chair of the IFLA Regional Council and a member of the IFLA Governing Board from 2021 to 2023. Ms. Kotokwane also served as chair of the AFLIA Academic Library section and a governing board member, in addition to being a representative council member of the Library and Information Association of South Africa, LIASA. All right, the second speaker is Ms. Lindi Nhlapo, who will be speaking to us on the topic of Let No One Be Left Behind, update on South African LIS licorice. Ms. Lindi Nhlapo is a qualified librarian who studied in South Africa and outside the country. She is the head of UNISA Science Library in Florida campus. She's also the IFLA Regional Manager for Africa under the auspices of UNISA as a host to IFLA Africa, to the IFLA Africa office, and a LIASA activist since its inception. It's my pleasure to welcome the two ladies to address us this morning. Ladies, over to you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and greetings in all languages. Nigerians say all protocol observed. So I'm saying the same. Mine is a very simple task today to just bring together what Lindy and May have spoken to you about, and to explain to you how the structure of IFLA works. The reason why we decided to do this, it was so that you understand how IFLA can support you, can give you the skills that everybody was talking about. You know, May spoke about a lot of IT and a lot of technology. So we sometimes feel like IFLA is this huge office over there in the Netherlands, and we all run around as governing board members, and no one actually understands what we do. The people that were at the conference last year, LIASA conference, we tried to explain, but I'm in the governing board currently. I'm serving my second term. I still have to learn every day what IFLA is. So we'll start. I had a very interesting topic that says everything and anything and everything that you have ever wanted to know about IFLA. I'm here to answer it. So the three of us will help each other. If you have questions that if I can't answer it, May will come in and answer, and Melindy will come in and answer. the questions. Okay, I have on the screen the, okay, shouldn't I put it here? I know I'm short. Okay. Right. Okay, this is what we all know what IFLA is and when it was formed. It was formed in 1927 and in The Hague in Netherlands. But actually the purpose was to promote high standard of diversity in library and information professional, and also to encourage widespread understanding of the value and the importance and the high quality of libraries in the world, not just around, and to represent the interest of all members. I want to explain that all members, everyone in this room is a member of IFLA. By the mere fact that you are a librarian and you're working in the library field, you are a member of IFLA. There are special rights that people who are members of LIASA, hence I'm wearing my LIASA shirt on the Library Week. If you are a member of LIASA, you're automatically a member of IFLA because you've paid your dues and you are in IFLA. When the director pays the institutional member, all of you in this institution, by that it means you are members of IFLA. You have the right to nominate, you have the right to vote, you can do anything that every member of IFLA. So we are blessed because we have two memberships. You have your institutional membership, you have your National Library Association membership. So that helps you to become a member. Okay, here is the structure. You can see there's the governing board, and there's the governing board. I don't know why I covered something. I think it's the IFLA logo. We've got the professional council. We've got the regional council. We have what we call the IFLA headquarters here. Melindi is part of this IFLA staff, right? If you need anything from IFLA in Africa, we have offices in Africa. We have an office there's a new one in Qatar. There's one in Singapore. There's one in the, Latin America. So those offices are IFLA moving towards the region and being able to serve you in the continents that you are in. So, okay, then we have the professional council, right? The professional council, this is where as members of IFLA come in. If you are a librarian that's working in cataloging, an information librarian, there are so many sections. I think there are, where's May? Lindy, there are 36 or 30 something sections. So when you join the association, you can choose which sections that you belong to. If the director hasn't chosen cataloging or continuing development, which is important for us, because that's where this paper is meant to show you what are the skills that we can have that IFLA can help improve the skills sets that May was talking about and the skill sets that Melindy is going to speak about later today. So it is not only an association that looks at the government and thank you. You know, people who know that it's very difficult to be very short. Thank you so much. So these are the sections that will have training courses and webinars and everything and anything that you need to be trained on, the standards that you need as a librarian, as standards that the library needs just to do the building. You heard May said she's also a member of the building section. I used to be in the IT section with May, and I also was the chair of the women interest group. I know the males will say, why do you need a section for female interest group, for an interest group for females? But in some other countries, the library, the list is still dominated, heavily dominated by males. So there are a lot of issues. It's not only issues related to us women as librarians, but women in prison. We discuss issues about women in prison, women in the villages, women who have businesses. So those are the skill sets that we as librarians, I know when we are in the academic sector, we feel like we don't get involved with public libraries. I'm very fortunate to come from an institution whereby I hope you also do, we are supporting school libraries, we are supporting academic library, public libraries with information, and we go and train and do all sorts of library training for the students, for the school librarians, you know, because we tend to be very selfish as academic libraries. We've got the money, we've got the funds, we've got everything, we've got the knowledge, and we've got money to pay good salaries. So these are, so for me, that professional council and the professional sections are very important for us to know about them. Okay, and then we have the regional council, which I was chair of. The regional council is basically focused on the 8 regions or 6 regions of the world. So we as the sub-Saharan Africa will discuss issues that relate to sub-Saharan Africa. Remember, a cataloger here or information librarian the IT needs that we have are not the same as the Americans or the Americas or the European. There's always that digital divide. So the purpose of the regional councils and the regional divisions and the regional committees is to discuss issues relating and emanating from the continent that the region is based in. So for me, I always say we are the people on the ground. We get to the most rural areas of the country, and we take those issues. They come to them. You can they come to the office, the regional manager can deal with them sometimes, and then we elevate them to IFLA so that they can understand the issues that we are having in countries. So that's the purpose of the regional council. It's actually a new structure. It's been in 2 years, I think, 4 years. Yeah, this is the 4th year that we have had those regional council, the regional structures. Okay, and I've said about the staff in IFLA. Okay, this is the professional structure that we have. They've been divided according to, because it's a huge structure, it's very huge. They've been divided according to divisions. And still, until today, I was sitting in the professional council. I still don't understand how the division happened. But it was so that the stream, maybe division A focuses on something else, and the division B will focus on public library, division C. I'm not looking at them, I'm just talking. Okay, this is where the professional divisions are. As you can see in A, where are my eyes? As you can see in A, you can see we have national libraries, we have public libraries, metropolitan library. But can you see that they've been grouped according to the interest, right? They are serving the public. Division B has got government library, library research for parliament, law libraries, government library. I'm telling you, you can find yourself somewhere there. And then you can see where you can be active and you can get training. Division C, do you see the CPWL? That's where they run courses basically for us librarians to empower us to give us the skill sets that we need. So you're gonna ask, okay, we have education and training, library theory and research. Do you see division C is actually for everyone in this room, right? And then we have D, also it's academic research library. To get into that first committee, we call it brutal election, because to get in there, how many institutions are out there? If you have been selected to that committee, and when we see a South African, we make sure that we canvass for you so hard that we want our African voices to be heard, you know, so that we don't absorb things that are coming from the global north and come and apply them to our children who don't even have electricity at home. And we say, okay, we've seen these wonderful technology, we have these wonderful things that we can apply in our library, but we are forgetting that we have load shedding, we have students that don't have access to internet. So those are the issues that we need to be involved and put them in there. So we have school libraries, and you know what's happening with our school libraries. We really kind of don't have school libraries, and I know that Liasa has started to try and bring back the school librarians to be there. Okay, those are all the sections that we can work in them. We have preservation and conservation. So the one thing that I'm proud as a South African, this year we had a copyright advisory committee in the country to help us with our copyright act. When we go to parliament, we call IFLA. Yeah, we have an issue. Our copyright act is not being approved. How do you advise us? When the president goes and writes, and Melindi sometimes she's asked from the office to write and say, motivate, when the national librarian is asked, motivate that the copyright is approved. So the IFLA and the copyright section will advise us to say, okay, this is what's happening, this is what we should do. Okay, those are the different sections. Okay, here is just what is the role of the professional council. I think I've explained that. We have the advisory committees. So I was saying this year we had copyright, we had the cultural heritage in South Africa. You know why we had them? Because in those committees we had members from South Africa. The third one that we are having, we are going to have the AI, because from the interest group, the AI interest group. So this is why I'm saying that IFLA is here to train, to help us acquire the skills sets that we need, to acquire the skill sets and advise us on the technologies that we require as librarians. Give us the new trends that are out there. There is a trend report that IFLA takes out every day. I wanted to get into it, but I wasn't sure how the connection is going to be. So you will see on the slides, there is an ifla.org. Please go in. If you want to see the trend report, I didn't want to discuss the trend report because I assumed May would probably speak about it. There's a trend report that speaks about all the new trends, especially technological trends that the libraries are faced with and the libraries have to deal with, and the skill sets that they need to acquire. Okay? So please, I beg you for us to be at the same level as other what do you call them? Nations, other countries. I get very upset when people refer to us as a dark continent. We are not. The one thing I want to tell you is that when IFLA has any new project, it normally starts in Africa. They test it in Africa because we have the capacity, we have the know-how, and we are very active people, you know. I remember one day I was in the bathroom. We were at the conference. I just passed and went into the bathroom. So these ladies are talking, and they thought I didn't hear. They said, oh, that lady is from South Africa. You must always have a South African in your committee because they are very active and they work very hard. You know, my smile was from ear to ear that, oh my word, I'm so happy that we are seen by the international community that we are a very active community. And Liasa is very strong. It's a very strong association. If you are not a member of Liasa, believe me, you are missing out. Do you see the structure that I've just shown us? Remember when we were fighting in Durban and in Cape Town? This is the structure we wanted. It might be not as big as this one, but that's what we wanted. We have a board, we have the interest group, we're going to start community of practice. You have a bigger community of practice. Let me tell you how you get involved. You don't have to go to the conference. The conference is a once-off conference that we all go to when we go to Liasa. There are emailing lists that are on the IFLA list. You subscribe to it if you are in cataloging. Why do I keep saying cataloging? We subscribe to it when you are doing serial. There's a serials group. So these advisory groups, right? I think now we have about 4 people from South Africa. This is where the library standards are made. All these advisory groups, you see the copyright, we have someone there. The Advisory Committee on Cultural Heritage, I think is Ujala Staka. And then on freedom of access to information. Remember this morning, Prof spoke about access to information. This is where the legal frameworks are derived, where we discuss, in South Africa we don't have this legislation, we don't have a now we are talking about GLAM, not only for just libraries. We want the museum, the archives, and the libraries to become one, because we serve the same community. So this is where those discussions came, and then we make sure that we save our cultural heritage and we save our libraries. In my institution, we've come up with, after the disaster in UCT, we've come up with a strategy that we're going 90% e-book and 10% print. You know why? Because the print books that we have in the libraries, if anything happens, then we are doomed. So we had to have a disaster for us as South Africans to wake up and say, how do we preserve our collections? So I'm hoping that every library and our library director, we have a disaster management plan. And for when there is a fire or when there is floods, like we have floods, who's the first person we call? In South Africa, we have the National Library. They have the best machine, second to Italy, to recover our collections. So if anything just happens, first thing you do, you pick up a phone and say to the National Librarian, hey, we have a disaster. Melindy and I went to a course on disaster recovery, and it's fun. You use little things like toothbrushes to sweep the books and the dust, and you the covers. And people thought, why are you doing that? But it's something that is important for us so that we are able to preserve our collections. And that is our disaster management plan should be based on the National Library disaster management plan, because it's based on the PEC, the IFLA, we call it a IFLA PEC. So they have offices in all the regions so that when there's a disaster, we know who to call. So also, remember here we are talking about skills, we were talking about the technology. I said the National Library has the best technology, second to Italy. Okay, maybe the Qatar people will probably beat us in that line. May was there, she probably saw. But we were the second best who had the machines. There is literally a washing machine where we throw the books and wash them or clean them and dry them and all that. So those are the skills. Sometimes it's not the technology, it's just the simple skills that we need, that we need to empower ourselves to know how to preserve our collection. Yes, we have the digital born material. We need to be able to save those, and I know the IT section is always collaborating with other sections, because remember, IT is the service in university. We have those service courses like economics and what. In the library world, I always say to the new upcoming librarians, it wouldn't hurt you to take an IT course at school. I remember I was trained many moons ago by Claire Walker, but we had an IT course. IT changes very rapidly. We need to have the continuing development. In my previous screen, you have to register there and see what is new, what is upcoming, and also watch the trend report, because it will tell you the new technologies. And when you go to your principals or to the vice chair or the director or whoever, you go with, okay, there's a new trend report that came out from IFLA. What is it that we are missing in this institution? And how do we train ourselves? I know you are in Alma, you are using Alma. They have so many training manuals and stuff that we need. If you are, for me, I always say I do not like an ignorant librarian, honestly. When I used to be in that seat of a director, I used to have Fridays. Fridays is for development, personal development. No classes for information librarians, no nothing, no cataloging of books. Go into the internet and find out what is latest. And then discuss it with your colleague next to you. And then, because the director is very busy, she can't come up with all those ideas. You say, hey, did you see? I saw this and this and this, and you discuss it. I like my director. When you say, oh, anything technology, she says, how? And then, can we do it? And sometimes you're like, oh, please, the money, you know. It goes together with money. But once you say this, you come up with a nice project plan and well supported, you will get the money, because our students are very IT savvy. Let's not be left behind. Let's lead as librarian, because remember, everybody here depends on us. We are the heart of the community. Everyone thinks we know everything, even if we don't know. So it's very important for us to have these different platforms to make sure that we empower ourselves. Okay. Okay, I've told you what the regional council does. Yeah, I'm finished. I know how time. I've done the regional committees. So the shaded areas is the different regions in the world. Where I was chair of, so I know who. Actually, I actually did realize that the European and the North America, they were struggling with the divisions. Unlike us, we knew what to do. I think because we had divisions before. They have so many associations, so many people doing the same thing and duplicating. So these regions really made us aware that, oh, okay, there's a lot of duplication in Europe. There's a lot of duplication in Canada. And I didn't even know you had, in Canada, there were rural libraries, and I only knew then. Because we always think like we have rural libraries, we are the only ones, we can sit in our corner and struggle. We learn from each other. So that's why IFLA is there, is for you to learn from others. But not take anything from the north and say, come and apply it in the south. Can they learn something from us? let's lead as the Global South. We need to lead the conversation. Okay, the regional council then, we have the advocacy. That's important because the IFLA goes to the New York. Melinda will talk about the SDG. There are people from each region that go to New York for the SDG meeting and meet with the presidents and the ministers. This is where we have, do you see the power that we hold? We meet with the presidents and the ministers. In AFLIA, we go to EU. We meet with the ministers. And then we tell them where we need libraries, what we need, and what budget we need. I remember I realized one of the ministers was a friend of mine, a Lesotho minister. I just told him, when I come to Lesotho, I need to see the Library Association well established with money and everything. And he did it. You know, those are the things. That's the power that we have as librarians. That's the power we have by belonging to associations. We have the bargaining power. So let's use that power that we have. Besides that, we have the internet governance. We just spoke about technology. For us to say, in Africa, we have no lights. What is it that we need to have so that we can have all these wonderful things that May has been talking about? How do we adjust those to fit into our regions? You know, that's that. And which other one? I think I may have forgotten others of them. Yeah, Melinda will talk about the SDGs. We have the internet governance. The UNESCO, we also have a seat in UNESCO. We have a seat in the UN. I have actually spoken in the UN, and I felt so good. And do you know what? They listen when you speak as a librarian, because remember I said everyone thinks we know it all. So in UNESCO, they will have something on education. Sorry, it has lost I've kind of lost the title of the papers, but that's where educational issues are discussed. So please go into the UN, the UNESCO, the EU, and internet governance. When there's an internet governance, the regional council have side meetings. Now we're gonna go into the G20. She'll probably slap me because it's part of her presentation. Guess who's going to be invited to have a side meeting for the G20? The librarians. We're going to tell those people what to do. So I think what I've said will make you understand how powerful we are. We have LIASA, we have AFLIA, we have IFLA for us to empower ourselves. There's webinars every day, and I just want to block them. They are free at the desk. If you want a standard, if you want anything, if you are building a new library, if you want your desk to know how your desk should be sitting, if you want to know how your lights should be in the library, you have IFLA to go to. And I thank you. I have an invitation, so I will meet those who have money to go to Astana in 2025.
You will need your app. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a moment to extend our sincere gratitude to Ms. Tabiseng Kosukwan for her insightful presentation on IFLA. Her contribution continues to inspire and shape the future of librarianship in South Africa. Thank you. Let's give her another round of applause. Next, we are honored to welcome Ms. Lindy Nhlapo. Ms. Nhlapo will present on Let No One Be Left Behind, updates on on the South African LIS licorice. I hope I'm saying it right. Licorice. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I don't know, is it afternoon already? Still morning. As Mentabi has said, all protocol observed. We needed to observe the DVC who came to support us. So we really appreciate his presence and for you taking time off to be here with us. If I can just say one word on Mentabi's presentation. When they ask you about IFLA, say IFLA is the FIFA of librarians, and it's exactly the same structure. And my office is the Africa office. I'm the Danny Jordan, so that's the short of it. That's how I can always explain it to colleagues. And it's so sad to be the last speaker because I feel like to say all of the above. Starting with the DVC, he's got an investigative tricks that he's already spoken much about what I needed to say. And the issue of the licorice, you know, the licorice sweets, it's everything and anything. So I'm gonna touch here and here, and you cannot deal with SDGs without saying, let no one be left behind. Colleagues, this is the SDGs, the 17 SDGs, and I've got a few posters over there that I'm gonna leave with you. Unfortunately, I couldn't carry much of the material. And I'm hoping that you'll block mount or frame them for each and every library. What is left, you can share with the public libraries and community libraries around in your area. Okay, and these are my discussion points. I wasn't asked to do a presentation. I was asked, hence I said the licorice, just to have a conversation with you. So these are some of the points that I'm going to talk about. And then if I can give the background to the licorice, the Sustainable Development Goals. You remember that we came way back in 2000 to the millenniums, the MDGs. The MDGs were meant for the developing countries. And now we are with the SDGs, hence I say they are universal, because it's not only the developing country, it's everybody in the world that needs to participate with the MDGs. And the VNR, the Voluntary National Review, which we were supposed to have done last year based on the SDGs, this is an evaluation of a country to say how much they've done towards the attainment of the SDGs. We did go to New York last year. The National Librarian was there on our behalf. We don't know what happened, but as South Africa, we pulled out. We didn't go through the process. Having said that, by the time the process has started, libraries were left behind. In the reports, there was nothing much that was said about the libraries. So we thought, okay, we will come back. I'm sure for those who were members of LIASA, there was a LIASA online where we were saying, let's concentrate on SDG 16 and see what stories can come up with that. But now that we did pull out of the VNR, we're gonna start all over again. Starting all over again, if you were there at LIASA last year, we said we hope that just like with the MDGs, there will be a roadshow on the SDGs. We envisage to have a page on the LIASA website where all of you're going to share your SDG stories. I'll show you towards the end on the categorization of the SDGs to say whatever you do, it speaks to a certain SDG. And there is no SDG that stands alone. Whatever you do, it trickles on. You know, like I'm here now, we've got, it's a partnership and a collaboration, SDG 17, we've got IT, we've got the GP, we've got you as a university, you've got the regional office. That is a partnership of making this day a success. Passing on that, and I'm hoping that you'll go, as Mentabi said, go to the UN page, also look at the SDGs, just to give you a flavor on the G20. And I'm so proud, I see our airports, they now have got banners on the G20. The G20, it's the 20 international countries that come around, and South Africa is the first African country to host it. And there is a theme that says solidarity, equality, and sustainability. And in SDG 4, you'll see there's equity and equality. So those also already, they speak to G20, they speak to the 4 categories, gender equality, SDG 4. And I'm putting it here because we're going to need you to participate. And we have identified stakeholders on the G20. Probably I will share the generic document of a G20. There is a CLAM. We now no longer call us LIS. The new term that we need to get used to it's CLAM, which is our galleries, our museum, our archives, and the libraries. So the CLAM is working on the G20. There is a cultural track. It goes similar to the SDG, where there is a cultural track where we feature. And with the cultural track, we have met as a CLAM, and we came up with the program as a contribution to the G20. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share that one. We've identified what we can do to elevate libraries to say they contribute. For instance, the public lectures that I usually hold at the regional office, we're looking at having a lot of exhibitions at our galleries and museum. We're looking at training of our emerging leaders and postdoctoral fellows. We will be having programs. And some of the programs are not only for South Africa, they will be rolled over towards the whole sub-Saharan continent. And we hope we will get funding to do all those. We've got quite a program. It's already in place. I'm just surprised and concerned that we were not invited in the first meeting of the G20 so that we can all understand where we are. Okay. And then the SDG 4. SDG 4 says it's to ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. We are here, we're sharing ideas and what we know. That is our lifelong learning. Teaching and learning, spaces and educators, leaving no one behind, create an enabling teaching and learning environment that will lead to the full participation, equalization, and opportunities for students and clients and our special needs. Again, here is the theme, part of the theme, that word equity, which comes out as part of G20 and on SDG 4. And then what comes out with the SDGs and SDG 4? We've seen the massification, the number of educational schools that are around. And currently, if a child is not at school at the nursery, that is child neglect and is punishable by law. So as communities, as Prof has also alluded to say, we are part of the communities, we need to look out for those kids which are idling around. And unfortunately, we now have pedophilias, little girls. That is why we need to get engaged as communities. And then we have, even at rural areas, We have reached out to the rural areas. Children from those areas, they do have access to education. Recently, with the registration, the new student, I had a young man, and you can tell that he's from the raw rural areas. And as librarian, we need to be, as Prof also said, we are diverse, inclusive. Poor young man didn't know when I said, what title are you looking for? I never thought in this age and time, and I've never even before, when you find a child who doesn't know when you say, what is your title? He didn't know what is a title. I had to bring 2 books and say, you see the name of this book, and this one is not the same, and this one is written by Magwaza, and this one is written by Ntlab. You start that far back. Because of the massification of education, they are not out there looking after the kettles, but they are at school. But it means there is no quality, there's no equality, because they are still left behind. You still have to start far back as that much. And the girl child, we know with the girl child that we always left behind. But nowadays we have a lot of girls coming up. You know the notion, no, science is for boys, not for girls. We've got young girls, especially at master's level, doing chemical engineering. I get so impressed and excited when you see that, you know. We do have now infrastructures, our public libraries, they've got research commons, a lot of computers around. But unfortunately, like the other day, I was at Mohale City when we got there to do training of our students, including the community. We couldn't get in because they've got security surveillance, they've got a physical security there, but other people got through the ceiling. They stole the tablets and the computers. So that is the challenge that we have. And with the diversification and massification of education, we've got the TVET. Maybe it's like the one what we used to call Technicon. I'm from the old Technicon SA. Now we've got different names that these have been called. Most of our universities now, they've got this University of Technology, everybody. So those are all the things that we've seen. And recently, I'm impressed in Soweto, you see in the morning, there's a car picking up children with disability, children with autism, you know, because all of a sudden you see there's a lot of autism, such names we didn't see. But if you see this car going around, you see that no one is left behind. Those kids are no longer shut in their houses. You've got the Pumlas, you've got all those schools that everybody is now having access to it. And now I've spoken about education, how it has grown, how we have included everyone. We didn't leave anybody behind, but it still got a lot of challenges. We've made a mark, but we haven't done much. We make a mark and we take 10 steps backward. We still have those kids who don't go to the nursery. Nowadays, you can see the early childhood learning, it's so important. So if we still have those kids running around at home, it's just not safe. And with that, we've got the fly-by-night schools. And every time we are told as communities to say, look out to say if a school is registered. And as parents, we rush, we register, we don't check the registration. You see on the news, every parent is up in arms because their kids, the course that they done, the matric, they can't do their matric because the school was a fly-by-night. So let's advise each other to say, is this a fly-by-night or is it a registered school? Like I say, we've made a mark, we move forward, we take a 10-step back. Scholar transport, We've seen where it says children goes kilometers and kilometers going to school. Scholar transport has been registered, has been introduced, and it has to be registered. But let's look at the quality of those scholar transport. How many deaths did we have of our children from those dilapidated cars? Everybody's taking a chance with the lives of our kids. And the same thing with the infrastructure of our school. There's a new school that is around, but the whole yard is got the prefabs. It doesn't have the proper infrastructure. Now we've got the heat wave. How do we expect learners to learn under those circumstances? In this age in time, especially in Eastern Cape, and in other places here at UKZN, you see learners having their uniform in a tin to have to cross the river to go to the school, which is the same thing in Cape Town. When are we moving forward, South Africa, to have bridges so that the school kids can make it to a better qualification, to a better education? You know, so those are the issues that we have. And then when it comes to the girl child, teenage pregnancy, the sad part that we've seen it in high rates the last December, underage children having babies. What has happened? Where did we go wrong? Those are the issues that is causing disparity, because whoever it is, if it's one of the classmates, that male classmate is continuing with their education, and the young girl has got to be a mother. And then the next thing, we think that child support that the government gives is enough to do our nails and, you know, and. So those are the challenges that we face, in as much as we've tried to close the gap of SDG 4 and SDG 5. So then that is where you bring SDG 17 to say, let's all be in partnership and see how best we can help. We continue. Let no one be left behind. If we don't leave people behind as an allies community, what we see beyond the LIS fraternity, we've got NGOs that provide book trolleys. So for the student to come and read, like the very computer gadgets which were stolen at the public libraries. You see this trolley, when students use it, they stake it in. So those are some of the things to try and bridge up the gap. And we've got computer centers in our public libraries, the municipalities when it comes to those. And it's not only for learners, for the young ones, it also caters for lifelong learning. For instance, the COJ, the Johannesburg Public Libraries, I'm sure you all are aware now of Jeff Nyoga, who does coding and all these other computer training, where the old ladies have been trained to use their computers, and now they're elated. I can read my name, I can see my name, I can read the Bible to myself, and now they're writing their own stories. So no one, even when you are aged, nowadays you are not left behind. Coming from UNISA, I've seen that we've got what we call the short courses, especially in education, where you've got a short course, it's a year course, whereby it includes even the handling of student children with disabilities, so that no one is left behind. But unfortunately, it's not so strong on the early childhood learning. We're just hoping that that will grow. But now we also see there's now government schools which caters children with special needs, and as indicated that they also provide transport for them to reach out and have access to this education and close the gap. And then what can we do in a nutshell? We need to support the community initiatives. As Mentabi says, training and special interest. Look around in your community if you can go and provide any training. As librarians, you know, public libraries, they've got a reading competition, readathon, you know, so, and we expect that it starts from home and in the communities, encouraging kids and the young ones to start reading. And then we've got a shoebox, which happened mostly at the malls. It's now taken on by the malls. A shoebox where contribute that pair of shoes so that that child from that area from afar who has got to walk has got a pair of shoes. Now they've even gone beyond. It's no longer a pair of shoes. They add and you know, school uniform and stationery and all that. At the mall, sometimes, which on the other hand, it's the infringement of POPIA, where you get an email saying contribute or come and help with the wrapping of the box. Let's participate in those events. And then, as indicated earlier, report the child neglect, children not being taken care of. Let's help those kids with special need. Recently, I had a paraplegic child who's in a normal crash, and unfortunately, the child is not so well trained. He's a bit naughty, and the teacher just gave a little smack. The parent, it went way haywire, you know. So what do we do as people who've got access to information? Advise the parent, see a social worker, get a letter from the social worker, let them help you find a school, a relevant school for that particular child. And if you help start from the social work, you'll find that even the fees that needs to be paid, they'll be waived in that case. Vicarious learning, role models. We seem not to have role models, you know. We used to look at teachers, social workers, and nurses and police. That was the only profession in our time. You look at those people and say, this is what I want to be. Now there is a massification, a diversification of qualification. Let us be role model. Unfortunately, our kids, they don't have role models in political science if you look at the politicians, you know. So let's try and be role models, like people say with the IFLA work, but they say you are traveling. Yes, I'm a traveling librarian, but I am a librarian, you know. So let's encourage those young ones to say, if you participate at LIASA, if you participate with IFLA, yes, you can go around the world, share your expertise and learn without having to pay for it. So let's try and be role models, and as indicated, contribute into the shoebox. There is a feeding scheme which now and then is in shambles. Let's also contribute in that and see and support the schools around that the feeding scheme, the government do try and make a contribution by starting these things. So for sustainability, it's up to us to get involved. Coming back home to us as LIS community, we've heard a lot from May, AI. What can we do? AI, when we had a copyright conference in February, the guys from Blind SA who was steering the signing of the amendment bills in copyright said, please don't take away AI, because with AI, they've got now about 2 or 3 of the apps. One of the apps is called Msizi. I tried to look for it on the Play Store. I couldn't find it. You can ask in English, how is the weather in Maritzburg today? And you indicate the language, it will come and give you the weather forecast in Zulu. That was interesting. They've got another one called the dashboard, which explains the whole picture. So that is behind, in front of you. So the guy said, I now can tell the picture of my granddaughter, how it looks like. It gives a lot of details. So that is where they say, let's not take away AI. But at the same time, it also has its downsides. We need, as libraries, to have governance on the use of the AI. We've got, being a distance learning at UNISA, we've got student at masters who doesn't know how to do referencing, but their work is very good. So those are the policies that we need to see to it that we have in place, and giving guidance to say, if you've used it, you still need to go back and edit it, and how can you reference, acknowledge that you have used the AI. And the training on ICTs, the whole platform of ICTs, including the AI, you know, in the past, some other things we take for granted, because some of our students at university level, they know how to go to the library catalog and search it, but they don't know how to get there. So let's start back to say, this is how you get there, in as much as they would understand how to get there. So those are the digital literacies, ICTs, that we need to provide to our learners and to our communities. And the issue of copyright. The issue of copyright, it's a thorny one. You know, when we are at IFLA attending the interest group that deals with students and people with disabilities, in Europe, they will tell you, oh, there was this student and there was no book. We just took the book and transformed it. They didn't have to write and pay for the copyrighted Dalro and all those things. Because their copyright is in place, they can automatically change whatever material to suit the need of their client. And unfortunately, with us, we're still challenged. Copyright and AI, there is an outcry to say those two with no copyright in place and the use of free AI. Even in your death, one of the top actors said, people have got a right with AI without this copyright in place to use your face and your voice and run a film even if you are dead. So, and it's not the infringement of law they carry on. So these are some of the things that we need to look into. South Africa, our schools, we've killed the career guidance. So this is the other place that we still need to provide in the library spaces and have discussion corners. In the past, we used to have the discussion corners. AI and these new technologies mushrooming up on their own, they are not to be that useful. So let's go back and have those corners. If you have a space in the library, provide the space to the communities and offer training, including the writing of their CVs so that they are marketable. So let's go back to those. The nice new thing is maker spaces, which as libraries we have. Others I've seen in Joburg, there are those that are standalone. Let's have a maker spaces where you will provide a space for digital marketing and all the other things that people can do in the library. Let's do that. And let's take the girl child to school. When they take the girls child to school started, as libraries, we used to have basket where we were collecting sanitary towels. Let's go back to that. We've seen there are NGOs that they come up, they have something like cups and all those. Let's have all that. So again, this is just to show you, I'm at the end. In conclusion, as I've said, whatever you do doesn't only speak to one SDG. So what I tried to do is to have the categorization of the SDG. If you talk about the environment, you've got SDG 7, 6, 13, 14, 15. If you go and look on those, they speak onto the environment. They speak into our oceans. It speaks on how we take care of our environment. And if we look at economy, the very technology, the AI that we're talking about, the robotics, the coding, that our science students are doing, the solar cars, and you can't do it alone. You've got a partnership as libraries for us to catch up with technology. We are dependent on also on the on innovation and the IT sector, and that's why you've got SDG 9, 8, 9, 12, and 17, and equity which include education. As we said, you can't, education, you can't speak about it leaving the girl child behind. So you look at to say you take care of all the genders, and you look at reduced inequality. So you will have a good number of male and female learners all in engineering. And in that we have peace, and then we've got the health one. You've got 1, 2, 3, and 11 as a category that if you do one, automatically you look at the other one. So colleagues, this is my licorice. I've come to the sharing of information with you. If there's anything that you need to know, I've got a few of the SDG posters, as I said, that I've brought. If you can see them, can you show them meantime? This one you can see it's got the garden. That one will speak about the zero hunger, you know, and it will speak to end, you know. And then the other one, you can see it's got books. It's about SDG 4 and its related goals. So they are quite different, but I managed to get these two formats for you to share. I thank you, colleagues.
Let's give you another round of applause, colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, let us extend our heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Lindy Tlapo for her enlightening presentation on Let No One Be Left Behind, update on South African LIS licorice. Her insights have provided us with a deeper understanding of the progress and challenges in our field, reinforcing our commitment to inclusive and transformative librarianship. Thank you, Ms. Tlapo, for your valuable contribution. Colleagues, we are now entering our session on question and answers, Q&A for both sessions. If you have a question, please raise your hand and then we'll take your question. Yes, Doctor.
Thanks very much to our two speakers. I have a question, I think, starting with you, Mentabi. All right, just a comment first on the issue of the disaster management plan. We've got Dr. Roshni Peta here. How? Why am I looking for you there? She can share on the strides that UKZN Library Services have taken in ensuring that we compile a disaster management plan. Because I think with regards to disasters, even before the UCT fire took place, we had our own fire that took place here in 2016, where the Howard College building was burnt down, and the law library suffered a great deal of damage. So from that experience, we were able then to coordinate our efforts so that we are better prepared for any future disaster. And we've now, as a result of that, developed a very robust disaster management plan, which Roshni can share about. And we're able also to provide advice and assistance to UCT when they had their disaster, because theirs came a few years after ours. Yeah, so I just wanted to comment on that. But my question is with regards to the divisions in IFLA. I like the fact that you emphasized that since we are members of IFLA as institutions, that make people who work in those institutions members of IFLA. And I like the issue of the different divisions within IFLA. What I'd like to know, though, is how do people benefit from these divisions? For example, you made an example of an issue that we've had, I think at least twice, where we wanted an academic wanted a standard on something, and it took us quite a while to get that standard. And yeah, you made that example that if we were a member of one of these divisions in IFLA, we would have been able to get that information much quicker. So if you can just elaborate on how, as individual librarians, be it in cataloging or in LIS or in special collections, how can we get into this division so that we benefit from, because you also mentioned the webinars that are held periodically. So yeah, if you can just elaborate on that. Thank you so much.
Please, just come.
Okay, thank you, Director. Thank you for having the, I now remember the fire. I do remember the fire. And what I was saying is that let's not get there, you know. We normally have to wake up from our slumber because there's a disaster. And also the important thing is sometimes we tend to do it by ourselves. The National Library has been tasked by IFLA to help. So if anything happens, they normally say, don't touch anything. Don't touch, don't put water, don't do anything. Oh, you have to have a freezer in the library. Please go buy a freezer. Please go buy a freezer. And then take all the books and throw them in the freezer and tell them, they are in the freezer, what do we do? Yeah, because sometimes trying to do it by ourselves, we destroy the information that they know that's their job. They will come, they will send people. And I know that I've had in the meetings and everywhere that people say, the National Library, what can they do? They've been trained. We librarians, we've been trained in what we've been trained at. And I'm really, really glad that that's there. Because I think we just did ours now, lately, because we were scared and thinking, okay, how are we gonna do that? I'm very happy. I'll probably just ask you to send it to me, and then I go brag and say, look at UKZN has got one. Okay, when the standards, right? They are in the IFLA website. I'm saying that I actually wanted to do a demo, because I'm telling you, to get anything out of IFLA is like pulling your teeth. The website is, very complicated, but it's being revamped, as May says. So for us, the IT people in the IT section, May was a former IT chair, so we do have, the website has been revamped. There is what we called IFLA library, right? You can go there and search. So what happens if you search, Then you will pull up whatever document. Sometimes you have to click on the facets. You literally have to click that it's resources and things. The repository. Yeah, it's a repository. So you can get the documents there. They are there. Sometimes some of the standards which I don't understand are on sale. I think if you need it that much, you will have to buy it. I don't know, maybe you can help out. But the standard, the last slides that I had about, there are other standards that you can just Google and find them in there. Asking someone, IFLA is huge, and there's different people working with different things. If all fails, we have an office. She will chase them. I'm sorry, I'm putting her under under fire, but yeah. So to get the trainings, all the trainings are free. The webinars are free. Some of the workshops are free. Like majority of the trainings are free. What I know is that what you need to do, you see all those sections and divisions, there's a whole list of email groups that you have to belong to. The IFLA L is your main group that you have to subscribe to. Second is IFLA L, because it's an African one. And people repost. I know people don't like reposting, but we normally put a message saying, what is that? Sorry for cross-posting. But for IT, you will have to, sometimes you will have to subscribe to IT. You will have to subscribe to AI. Every group, including interest groups, they have their own email groups. So I think Google has been telling me, please buy or just delete emails. But sometimes you feel like, okay, this is something I'll need later or something. So the trainings, the webinars are free. The sections that when you pay, remember there's a few sections that you choose. So you would belong to those. Like you would, if you chose academic and then you chose something else, those are your sections that you are paying for. And when you elect and you do what, those are the only people that you can vote for, except the Sub-Saharan Africa. Everybody here is a member of Sub-Saharan Africa. I don't know if I've answered your question. Thank you.
Can I add to that? When she says subscribe, there's no payment of fee. It says to join the list. Yeah, it's just joining. They need your email, and then the Sub-Sahara one used to be approved by her. It doesn't mean that there's a payment. It's just joining the list.
Okay, we can take another hand if we have any other questions. Yes, please, Dr. Notlanhla, go ahead.
Thanks. I wanted to ask you, Melindy, about the VNR. You said that there was nothing about us as libraries last year. But what I wanted to find out is, are we as individual institutions also expected to submit VNR, these reports, or does the National Library submit on behalf of all of us, and how often? But I know that even as individual institutions, we are expected to play our part in the fulfillment of the SDGs. But in terms of the VNR, are we, because I don't want a situation where I find that for the past 5 years, as UKZN Library Services, we've been defaulting. So are we expected individually to submit the VNR report, or does the National Library submit on our behalf collectively? Thanks.
Okay, let me start explaining the VNR. VNR is voluntary national review. So we don't submit as institution, as libraries, it's a country report. So we need to give an input into the country report. What happens when we realize that the VNR, the country, it's done at the Department of, at DAX, and it's done by ministers. They just that there was no one who jostled us to say, by the time we discover that South Africa is being, will go through, they've already completed the report. And the next one is gonna be in 2026. So, but we were told to say if we were not in the country report, they've got outside little meetings at UN where they discuss different issues. Hence, we picked on SDG 16. But now, because we didn't participate, we need to be in the main report of the country. It's the ministers who does that. Maybe because it was just the end of the ministers, the other term, it was the election. Now there's a new group of ministers. Probably they wanted to do their own and understand when they go to the UN. And the other thing we understand to say, all the countries that make themselves available to go through the voluntary review, it doesn't mean that they will go to UN and stand at the podium and present their country report. Their reports are dealt in some caucus somewhere to say South Africa in education here and here. It's not, they pick up a few of the countries to come and present. So what we did so that we are not left behind using the LIASA format, we started looking at the CLAM, as I've indicated, our galleries, museums, archives, and libraries. And with the libraries, we looked at the interest groups of LIASA. We created a list of the interest groups, and we said, who is the coordinator of this interest group? Including school libraries, which we don't have at LIASA, but we had a person, a coordinator, who deals with school libraries. For academic libraries, we said the chair of CHELSA will have to collate the information and submit to the group that is dealing with the VNR report collection. So we did it by interest group, and the coordinators, they need to work with that. In addition to that, as I said, we needed to do a roadshow and conscientize people about the SDGs, and we hope to have a web page that whenever you do something, so that when your coordinator, the chair of CHELSA, when they want a report on academic libraries, they can go to that page to say what UNISA has done, what UKZN has done, and create a report from there.
I think also as a library, because what's that council of vice chairs of vice rectors? That, yeah, I think they also have, they do contribute. I do know that they come to the library and they ask us what collections do you have, what do you, like all the institutions, I think. So there's the library, there's also the office somewhere in the institution. But as libraries, we provide the information to the institution. I know that that's what we normally do. And there's a lot of databases with that information, and we try and collate that and send it to the office that work with the SDGs on campus. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We are closing this session, and now we're going to our next session, which is our closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this insightful seminar, it is my honor to invite Dr. Roshin Petha, to the manager of scholarly life cycle services, course services, and special collection at UKZN Library, to deliver the closing remarks and vote of thanks. Please join me to welcome Dr. Roshin Petha to the podium.
Good day, one and all. So it's on behalf of UKZN Library and the library management team, it's my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks. Our facilitator, Mr. Magwaza, reminded me that I'm what's holding you up from lunch. So I'm mindful of that. So it's our duty to express our gratitude and say thanks to all those people who have made this possible. So I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Prof. Anil Chaturgun, the DVC for Research and Innovation, for his warm welcome. All our participants, in person and online, thanks for your active engagement and the insightful discussions. Your presence and participation has made this seminar meaningful for us. Our distinguished keynote speaker, Ms. Mei Chang, for sharing her thoughts and experiences and her excellent presentation. Her insights have been invaluable, and we are grateful for her time and expertise. Our guest speakers, Ms. Ntabaseng Kotsakane and Ms. Lindy Nashlapo, your contributions have made the seminar a memorable and enriching experience for us. Thank you very much. And our facilitator, Mr. Nkululeko Magwaza, thank you very much. A job well done. Our library director, Dr. Notlantla Nkobo, and then to our partners, thank you for your support in making this event possible. Your contribution plays a significant role in advancing the library's mission. Ms. Pamela Adams from Corporate Relations and the team here from ICS, who's responsible for our online streaming and the videography. A heartfelt thanks to our organizing committee and the library staff for their dedication and hard work in planning and executing this seminar so seamlessly. Your efforts, both seen and unseen, have ensured the success of today's event. So as we close the seminar, I encourage everyone to reflect on the insights shared today and carry forward the spirit of inquiry and dialogue into your work and studies, and continue to promote knowledge sharing and collaboration in the library and academic spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. My last announcement is that vegetarian food is next to the door. That's what I was told to pass. Thank you.